meine Damen und Herren, Circus. Seid ihr bereit für unsere nächste Panel? Unsere nächste Tagesthemen? Ich würde das 10.000 Mal hören. Das ist ein bisschen schwach. Ich frage das nochmal. Seid ihr bereit für unsere nächste Stargäste? Wir haben zwei besondere Gäste aus der Serie Vikings. Jeder, der King Ecbert und King Aethelwulf. Linus Roache and Moe Dunford, ladies and gentlemen. We switched it up. How are you, gentlemen?
We're good.
Very good. There was lots of revelry last night. It was very good.
I heard about it.
Lots of fun.
And speaking of which, this is a very different event than a Comic-Con. You know, it's with a Renaissance fair and everything. When you got invited, is this what you were expecting?
Absolutely. This is gorgeous. It's a lovely setting. Great people, great energy. You couldn't ask for more. Because sometimes these events are indoors and this is just fun. And the weather's not as hot as yesterday.
I think I was expecting it a little bit like this, but I don't think I knew how beautiful it was going to be. Really. And then that's a testament just to the people here and everybody's spirit. There's just a beautiful spirit of celebrating something together, and I feel sort of caught up in it. So it's been great.
Wij gaan weer klimmen en dan als papa niet meegaat kan hij straks hele coole foto's van ons maken vanaf hier beneden. En als wij dan verdwijnen daarachter kan je gewoon naar de auto lopen of zo. Ja,
It's really cool experience.
Maar wij kunnen. Papa kan de rest van de patat eten, want wij zitten
Wow.
She's been thinking about that.
She's been waiting.
She's ready. Streepjes, daaronder kan je het innemen en dan krijg je een euro.
All right, let it out. Hello again, thank you for coming. Second day. One question, Mo, you filmed in Malta.
Yes.
And I was wondering what the movie is about. I can read it as well, but
Ja, maar wie?
so maybe you can talk about it.
Zei het net, maar...
And then how long the whole movie took, because I don't think it took very long.
Oh yeah, it took about 5 weeks and it's another historical, but far more recent than Vikings. It's set in World War II. And it's about Malta as a country and then being the most bombed country in the world per square mile, and a bunch of kids that are hiding in shelters in underground caverns. And there's this whole underground system in Malta which is catacombs, so most of the people hid under there. And actually it was Vikings, the connection, how I got cast. They saw me in that and they wanted
Ja, we gaan.
an Irishman.
Vergeet je niet zo'n
Yeah, so
foto te
that's it.
zetten,
It'll be
Ernst?
out next year. It's a horror, but shelter, but with an X, so like shelter.
Ik moet even mijn bloemetjes opnieuw aanzetten.
And my second question for both is, what do you like watching in your private time? Like what series, what genre of movies? Where do you say, oh yeah, you know, at the Oscars he definitely won. I would like to go for that role. Like what do you like? What takes your
As a
heart?
consumer, what do you like to watch?
I watch a lot of TV and I'm a movie buff. I love movies, so every Oscar season I make sure that I watch every single movie. And I thought this last year was the best year in many, many years. All those pictures deserve to be in the best picture category. So I love movies, I'm a cinephile, but I love a lot of TV, and I've binge watched a lot of stuff. Breaking Bad, just right now watching Jake Gyllenhaal in Presumed Innocent, one of the best crime dramas. So I am a bit of a glutton. When I'm at home, it's what I do of an evening with my dog. I've taught my dog to watch TV, basically. That was the criteria for him staying in the house. So he has a bed, and I sleep sort of right next to him with the TV there, and we watch a lot of TV. And I'll tell you also what my wife and I do at the end of every evening. We watch an episode of Friends. And we've seen the whole thing. We're on our 4th go now, all the way through, in chronological order.
Well done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Third question, what do you think about Peaky Blinders? I mean, he definitely deserved the Oscar, but have you seen the series yet? And looking forward for the movie, both of you?
I have to admit, I've not watched Peaky Blinders. I'm a Cillian Murphy fan, and I thought Oppenheimer was one of the deserved everything it got, and Cillian's an amazing actor. I don't know why I haven't gravitated to Peaky Blinders, but it's one of those ones that's sitting there waiting for me. He's a stunning actor.
Yeah, agreed with what you said about the movies that are out there, and Linus watching all the last year's movies. The movies on show were incredible, and yeah, I love my movies and films and shows. I just love seeing the amount of Irish movies that were at the Oscars last year, you know, and all of Cillian's success, but also the world's interest in Ireland as a country, where we shot Vikings, because all of Vikings was shot in Wicklow. An Irish Goodbye, on Colleen Kuhn, The Quiet Girl, beautiful movies, and just the world's interest in those stories. When we were doing Vikings, when we were, you know, between scenes, we would talk about, have you seen the new episode of Breaking Bad? Have you watched it? So it's fun to work and do a job that's set so far in history, but keep each other up to date on what we like, you know. That was always fun behind the scenes with Linus.
Outlander.
I thought it was great, and it sort of lost its energy a little bit, but I thought the beginning of it was amazing. Yeah.
One last question, how do you manage to memorize all the lines? Like, do you just look at it and you have a genius like memory, or do you have to run over? How do you do it?
You know, that's a question that if you'd asked me that 20 years ago, I would have just said, I don't understand the question because I don't learn lines. I learn the moment of a scene, I learn the energy of a story, and I just immediately just go in. But I have to admit, I'm a little bit older. I have to work a bit harder. I have to kind of get it in there and get the muscle memory in the mouth. But normally, if it makes sense and it's emotionally correct, it's not hard to learn. So if it's good writing, it's easier to learn.
What was great about Vikings was because we did it for so long, by the time you get to season 3, season 4, because Michael wrote every single episode, you can follow a sort of chronology, and the language is what the character would say and where you hope the character's going. And because it's Michael's language, it's easier to go in, because you've got to know the character better, you've built it up, you know, you've worked with Linus, you've worked with the family, you've worked with Michael, and Vikings followed a really fulfilling sort of journey in how the character developed, and the lines were easier to learn that way too, you know. A lot of poetic talk.
Thank you, lads.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys mentioned the Oscars. Have you seen your son and your grandson in Coda?
Ferdia was in Coda. Oh, of course. And Coda. Ferdia. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Okay. Wow. I forgot.
That's
But
true.
still,
That's true.
yes. And we've been hanging out all day for 24 hours. And yeah, amazing. Ferdia, King Alfred was in an Oscar-winning movie.
It was brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Right now. Woo. Where are you, Ferdia?
Somewhere with his shoes on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Wow.
Linus, you played in Batman movie. Would you like to play in another superhero movie? And if so, which one?
I was very proud to be part of the Batman franchise. I think early on I would have been very excited to be in the superhero movies. I feel now they're coming to the end of their era a little bit. It's like we've seen so many of them. But if I was to be in one, I think I like the irreverent ones, like Deadpool, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's something that's a little more edgy, you know, because we've seen it. But yeah, I think it's wonderful what those stories are exploring in consciousness as well. You know, the multiverse and all of that. So it's exciting, but Batman Begins is the closest I've got. And the interesting thing about Batman is he's not a superhero, really. He gets wounded. And Christopher Nolan was a genius, so it was great to get to work with him. Thanks for asking.
And you, would you like to play in the superhero movie?
Yeah, I thought it was cool that Batman's dad was Aethelwulf's dad, you know, that was cool. Why did we fall? I always love that line, it's iconic. But I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I always love the albums of Guardians of the Galaxy, like Volume 1, 2, 3. Amazing, right? Yeah, the music is cool. Groot. Yeah, I am Groot. What else do I like? I like Star Wars. I grew up loving Star Wars. You know, I love the mythology of George Lucas's stuff, the early mythology, and what some of the shows have done with it. I like all the mystical mythology in shows when it's there. Thank you.
Merci.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning. Good day. By now, I have a question for Linus and two short questions for Hal. Okay. Linus, who do you think is smarter, Ragnar or King Ecbert?
Wer ist smarter? Ragnar oder King Alfred?
King Ecbert.
Ne, Ecbert, so, genau.
Okay, so here's something that comes to mind. In all honesty, as an actor, I think Travis is a smarter actor than me. Because many actors don't think in terms of structure. They think very subjectively. And Travis was always about, wouldn't it be better if we went here and did that? So he was a strategist in a way. As characters, as historical characters, let's just say they're equal.
Good diplomatic answer.
And for Mo, like the first question is, for me personally, I had the impression that in the beginning of the relationship between the Vikings and Wessex, between Ecbert and Wessex, I think that Aethelwulf kind of had some sympathy for the Vikings, but in the end it changed kind of. So do you agree that Aethelwulf was kind of sympathetic towards the Vikings in the beginning, and if it changed, why?
That's a great question. I think all of that, he was sympathetic at the beginning, and you sort of become what you're conditioned to be, and who your family is, and all of the complex issues running in Wessex at the time, and how to be a leader there, and to be the son of Ecbert. But yeah, he went with the Vikings in one of the seasons, and they made peace. And then there was some subtle sort of instances where, or not so subtle instances where we betrayed them at the end of season 3. And Dad and me sit on that throne, you know, that was the cliffhanger. But then again, Aethelwulf had a big heart, and when he could see the devilment that was happening behind the castle walls, what was really fun to play was going off on his own moral journey and befriending the Vikings and taking in Alfred and learning from his dad and learning from the world and learning from his mistakes. That was the layers, the great layers that Michael had put into the character. And sometimes it's hard to get those angles across depending on your director, you know. But I think I think there was a sort of gripe with them at the beginning, but he ended up letting that all go. You know?
Thank you. And my second question is,
Genau.
if you imagine that you were watching Vikings, the show, and how would you feel about the death? Because I was very, very angry that he died in such a way, because he didn't deserve it.
Did you all feel that? Oh, well, there's your answer. Yeah. Enough said.
Du bist eher schuld.
If only he had an EpiPen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Könnten Sie übersetzen? Ich kann die Frage übersetzen, aber nicht die Antwort.
Das ist okay.
Okay.
Ich würde gerne wissen, Ecbert und Aethelwulf sind ja reale Personen gewesen, die ja wirklich in der Geschichte so gewesen sind.
Genau.
Und ob die Ihre Rolle in Vikings sehr an den realen Königen angelehnt war oder ganz frei davon?
Okay.
Wie Sie sich auf diese Rolle da vorbereitet haben?
Ja, kann ich übersetzen, aber wie gesagt, die Antwort kann ich leider nicht. He wants to know, so since King Ecbert and King Aethelwulf are based on real historical figures, he wants to know how much of those characters in the series are based on real life and how much liberty was taken with those two characters.
With these two specific characters?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing with Ecbert, I mean, how should we do this? Do you understand? Yeah, so it's okay, you don't need translation. Okay. With Ecbert, there's not a lot was known about him, but it was recorded that he was meant to ascend to the throne of Wessex, but someone else took it, and he had to leave Wessex, and he went to Francia, and he studied in the court of Charlemagne. So at the beginning, Michael's idea was that, based on historical fact, that when Ecbert came back, he had the mind of an empire builder, like Charlemagne. So that was like, I read books on Charlemagne. I did a lot of studying about Charlemagne because not so much is known about Ecbert. And then Michael decides suddenly, oh, I think he's more influenced by Julius Caesar. So he did that. And then he sort of created this idea that, suddenly I'm the grandfather of King Alfred, but it comes through Athelstan. So Michael, he works from historical fact, but he lives in the world of drama, and he will take history and do whatever he needs with it, but it all comes from a true foundation. I hope that answers it.
Well, also for the dramatic context of the character of Alfred and his origins, like in history he's Aethelwulf's son, but in this context it's Athelstan's son, and it makes more drama and irony and tension, and when the Vikings come to our castle and the tortures and all of that tension just makes more drama out of it. And the bee and the but it made it all more interesting, and there was certain things, liberties taken with, say, Judith and going to Rome, but that did all happen in different times. It did all happen. It was fun to play real characters, wasn't it? Yeah.
Danke sehr. Hat's mitbekommen? Danke. Bitte schön.
It's a great question. Yours is Inch Beach. What's my favourite area, my favourite place in Ireland? That's a lovely question to be asked here in Germany. I love Wicklow. I love Galway. I've recently spent a couple of weeks in Galway. It's beautiful. They all speak the Irish language over there. The Irish language is sort of it has been going in decline over the years, but it's coming back up in a lot of places. So a lot of the places where there's Gaeltachts in Ireland, I've come to love more. Donegal, Galway, County Kerry. Cork. Oh, well, yeah, I love Cork. Did you? I also did. Yeah. Whereabouts? My God! Wow. I was born there, and I lived in a pub in Cork for years.
In the fire station, or just in Cork in general?
Not in the fire station, no. Actually, the pub ironically burnt down, so I was in need of a good fire station then. But
they're around.
But I'm from Waterford. Oh, I needed a bit of water too.
But there are 5 pubs now, fire station.
Oh, there's 5 pubs for the fire station. Inch Beach is beautiful, and for all of you who are curious to visit some of the Viking locations, like you can't get better than Wicklow. It's very similar to here. Lugalaw is where Kattegat is. It's owned by the Guinness estate. I'm sure you've all heard of Guinness. So you can go and visit that, and visit Wessex, which is ironically the back of some farmer's shed. They built the town of Wessex. That was a joy going there every day, wasn't it? Yeah. So there's a couple of places. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bitte.
Thank you for coming. My question is, when you play a historical character, does it change your point of view from this time to this time, and if so, how?
Does playing a historical character change how you understand the modern world?
No, this time. So is this part of the...
Does it change how you understand that historical period?
Absolutely. No, it does. I mean, I think historical drama is kind of quite a complicated thing to do because we tend to think that everybody thought like we think now. You know, with like a postmodern sensibility, and we care about this and that. And so, in a way, it's often quite hard to get into the mindset of maybe how rudimentary or blunt things could have been at that time, and life was a lot shorter, and it's hard to create all that. Michael did a good job in the language, like Mo was saying, that created, but then the sets were so amazing, they felt so real, and then the costume design was incredible. So when I first got in my costume and the weight of the thing, and you stood in this set that didn't feel like a movie set, it felt like a proper old Roman villa that had been turned into a castle. Suddenly there are moments where you sort of feel like you're glimpsing back in time. And it's a bit like sometimes here when people are walking around in costume, you have little moments of going, things haven't changed, some things haven't changed a lot, you know. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing to do. I don't think it's an easy thing to do, but I think this show did a really great job. And for me, the episode that I wasn't in the first season, but I don't know if you remember the scene where they did the human sacrifice. It was called Uppsala. That for me, I literally, after I watched that, I had to sort of take a breath and walk around the room, because I thought they actually captured the consciousness of human sacrifice being a positive thing. And as a postmodernist, like, no way, but I thought the show actually caught it, and that's real historical drama at its best.
Also, just playing the characters and looking at the context of this time of fear or racism or fear of the unknown or the others and their way of living versus yours, and being the son of an English king, and then how curiosity brings people together, and seeing Ecbert's curiosity with Ragnar and Athelstan, and suddenly making up your own mind and going off to eat with other cultures and eating and breaking bread and seeing that we're all one, but it's only religious differences divide us. I found that fascinating, and Michael's understanding of that, and I was really, really intrigued by the relationship with Ragnar and Ecbert and all that richness, and I really enjoyed it actually, how these layers would come out of differences of cultures, and not being so afraid, being more curious as time goes on, you know?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wait 1 second. Whose character are you? You're not a Viking character. Oh, the British Museum. Oh,
Cool.
great.
Ew.
Last question. Go ahead.
So we talk about like Batman and stuff, and there's a lot of fighting in Vikings. So I thought I'd ask you, if you had to fight a fictional character from like any universe, who would you want to fight, and who would you like want to be your sidekick to help you fight?
Maybe I'd like to fight the raccoon from, but without the gun. Oh, he'd be a good one. I was going to choose the Blob as my buddy. You know the Blob from X-Men? Yeah. And he'd help me face off against the raccoon without guns. Viking time. From Guardians, yeah.
I think I'd like to fight Deadpool, because it just would be funny, and I'd never win. And but I'd want that raccoon. What's he called, the raccoon?
Rocket.
Rocket. I'd want Rocket as my sidekick. Yeah, Bradley Cooper. Yeah.
Who would you want to fight? Who's on your team?
I asked this question a lot, but I never really thought about it myself. I don't know. I probably, I think as a sidekick, Rocket would be a pretty good choice. currently, like, I'm not very, like, good at fighting. So maybe something, like, I think someone else said you would fight a Hello Kitty. So maybe I, like, Rocket and I would fight Hello Kitty.
Whoa,
See, and
that's a good
that's exactly what I would say, because you don't want to fight somebody that you're going to lose against. You want to fight somebody that you're going to win. That's brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That was a great question. Gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to chat with us this morning.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure here, and also I haven't seen this man in about 5-6 years. It was such a joy working with him every single day. I learned so much of him. He's so kind, wonderful. It's great to be here with him.
Back at him, back at him.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
God bless you all, thank you.
I hope we'll see you soon. Linus Roache, Moe Dunford, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.